From WBBZ-TV Sports, it's time to beat the champ. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Peck and Sue Novoitsky.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Paul Peck, along with Hall of Fame bowler Sue Novoitsky, and welcome to this special edition of Beat the Champ. We have had a lot of fun over the last 5 years, taking this sport to another level, seeing all the outstanding bowlers in Western New York, and seeing the reaction from the bowling community has been great as well.
Absolutely. There's so many great bowlers in this community that don't do this for a living, but still come out here and perform on the weekends as if they do it for a living. And, and as far as the community goes, I get so much input from everyone, and we have seen so many great matches throughout the years that it's fun to actually look back and see a couple of them from time to time.
All right, so here we go. It's the best of Beat the Champ. Well, a couple of good friends and longtime Lockport guys will get us started here as Silaberto will take on Gary Kinyon in the first match. And just another layer of what's been cool about our trip up here to Allie Brandt Lanes is here are two guys that bowl together, have been teammates for numerous years. This time they've got to go against each other. And certainly anybody in Western New York that follows the sport knows all about Gary Kenyon, one of the all-time greats. And however exactly he threw that ball is how he will do it the next 20 times, right? Or maybe less.
A little different result.
Maybe less. Maybe less.
Actually, after watching him practice, he got that one to the right a little bit, and it still came back, which means his ball reaction is probably pretty good.
9th appearance on the show here for Gary Kenyon. 5 wins and 7 losses is his overall record. That's a spare to get us started. Last time we saw Gary on our show was December of last year when he bowled at Pratt Angelo Lanes. And here's Jason Ciliberto, his 9th appearance on Beat the Champ. 11 wins versus 5 losses. That includes a year ago here at Allie Brandt Lanes when he won 7 in a row, including a perfect 300 game. And he is coming off a very big, difficult, and emotional victory over Pat Brick to end last week's show, and came right down to the end. Exciting bowling is what Allie Brandt Lanes always brings to the table here, and the proprietor here and owner of Allie Brandt Lanes, Brian Borowski, joins us here. This has been a lot of fun the last 2 weeks. These shows have been terrific.
Yeah, anytime you have some good competition, going down to the wire, always makes great TV.
No question about it. We've had great names among the best bowlers in Western New York as part of our shows here the last couple of weeks, and that includes today as well too, and includes this guy Jason Ciliberto. Well, Brian, it's that time of the year. Things are a little quieter at the bowling center than they normally are, and although you've got a lot of stuff going on here that always keeps this place hopping.
Yeah, tomorrow I got to be at Watkins Glen for the race, the Go Bowling 400.
Yes.
So it'll be a nice drive, and should be an exciting race.
Yeah, because Brian is also the national treasurer for the Bowling Proprietors Association, and they are one of the main sponsors of the NASCAR race at Watkins Glen. So who knows? We may see you waving a flag. We may see you screaming out, "Start your engines!" Right?
Whatever they tell me to do.
Whatever they tell you to do. How has that worked out for the organization in being, this is the second year, correct, of the sponsorship?
Second year at Watkins Glen. We've sponsored many races in the past. 2 years before that, we were in Kansas City for a couple of years. The demographics of bowling and NASCAR and country music are very similar, so that's what we tried to do, is target our key demographics.
Gotcha. Have you seen some carryover from that here? Because I know, and we all know, how big auto racing is in the Western New York community as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's, anytime you get bowling on TV, it's always a big plus. I mean, even the Beat the Champ show, a number of people say, "Oh, I saw you on TV, I saw you on TV," and that's always great. Anytime you get bowling on TV, it's always a positive for us.
Second frame here for Gary Kenyon is you see Janelle Sabin and the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard. Spare in the first frame for Gary. He'll play for another one here.
Another good shot. 8-pin is a tap. He threw it good. He's actually got one of the better ball reactions that I've seen this month.
And one of the few righties that is still messing with an area that hasn't been messed with much here through the first 6 matches of our show.
He's only our 3rd right-hander.
68 years.
On a 3rd week.
That's right. 68 years old from Lockport. Right here in Lockport is Gary Kinyon, and again, one of the all-time greats in this town, a legendary bowler, not only up here in the Niagara County area, but throughout Western New York. There's his first strike.
This feels like a good time to take a short break. We'll be right back with more action on Beat the Champ.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ. Let's get back to the action here on WBBZ-TV.
So it's a lead at the moment for Jason. Chance to add to it.
19 pins he's up. Great shot.
Big strike in the 8th frame for Jason Ciliberto.
That ball change he made at the end of last week that he only did on 33, he's now using that ball on 34 too. So that ball seems to have to give him a little bit of something he didn't have before.
Brian, we talked a little bit about your role nationally, and first off, congratulations for becoming one of the key decision makers in this sport as at the Bowling Proprietors Association level. But how important is it for this area to be represented by you, an area where the sport means so much? How important? How much do you sort of take some of that with you to all of your national events?
Well, I mean, anytime you have someone, an officer, or just being involved in the bowling industry at national level, you get your perspective of the area, to the other people, because we have such a diverse group. We have about 28 board members, so we all have different, backgrounds, philosophies, different areas where we have to, where you have higher income versus lower income and all that. So it's just a great way to get together with other people and making your voice known to help better the sport and also hopefully better your community.
You talked a little bit on last week's show about some of the changes in the industry and how the sport has adapted a little bit more, maybe away from leagues towards more of families and open bowling in the family entertainment center. Is what might the next trend in this sport be? Because we know everybody that's watching this is kind of likes to be locked in on what might be coming next.
Well, if I knew that, I would do it right away.
Well, are there some things that other people around the country are doing that have intrigued you enough to be thinking about it?
There's so many different. I mean, we just had our convention in end of June, and there's just so many different things. With the lighting, with the graphics, with the scoring mechanisms, with the cubic AMF, with hyper bowling, where you're actually trying to hit a target. I mean, the bumpers are up, and you're actually trying to hit a target to increase your points. So the manufacturers are doing a great job. Trying to keep the sport of bowling alive and trying different aspects, but hyper bowling is probably going to be one of the next biggest things to
What
come
is that
out.
again now?
Hyper bowling is it's almost like kind of like a video game aspect where you have bumpers are up and you have running lights, and your goal is to hit the light and the pins. So each light has a different multiplier. So let's say blue is a 4-time multiplier. If you hit the blue, and then the number of pins that you knock down will multiply it by that number.
Okay.
So what that does is basically help with hand-eye coordination. Kids are playing video games, and anytime you can hit a moving target, enhances the kids.
Yep. They need that much more stimulation, but that's pretty brilliant to keep up with the tech world they're in. So the scoring pace is different. It's not like traditional scoring.
No, it's totally different because you have that multiplier. So there's many different games within the game. You know, it's hard to explain, but it is. It's a lot different, and again, you're trying to get the customer in here to, and whatever it takes to have them bowling and enjoying the sport with family and friends.
And how about Jason Ciliberto, a punch out to end it with 5 consecutive strikes and to post up a big score, our biggest here of the run of the month at Allie Brandt Lanes with a 246. That's going to get him a victory over his buddy Gary Kinyon, unless there's a multiplier involved in one of Gary's last shots here. But a win for Jason Ciliberto. It's always great to see Gary Kenyon on the show. We'll talk to Gary in a moment. Get you ready for match number 2 when Sue and I with Brian Borowski return. More Beat the Champ from Allie Brandt Lanes right after this. It's 2 wins in a row for Jason Ciliberto, a 246 to 208 victory over Gary Kenyon. He's your friend, he's your doubles partner. He's supposed to take it a little easier on you, isn't he?
Yeah, I would think so, you know, but what are you going to do? He's a great bowler, what can I say?
You probably know him as well as anybody.
Yeah.
Are you seeing him in a bit of a groove right now?
Well, I think he's going to be very tough to beat.
Okay, when Gary Kenyon speaks, then we all better listen, right, Brian?
That's right, I would.
All right, Brian, make him feel a little better.
Congratulations. Thanks for bowling with us.
Thank you.
And thanks for supporting Beat the Champ.
All right. Always good to have one of the great bowlers in Western New York on the show right here in Lockport, Gary Kenyon. Good luck with your golf game. I'm sure we'll see you again back on the lane soon.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
All right. We've got our next match, Jason Ciliberto and Dan Streer. It's coming up next on Beat the Champ. The next challenger for Jason Ciliberto is Dan Streer, making his second appearance here on Beat the Champ, second month in a row, because the last time and first time we saw Dan was last month up at Tonawanda Bowling Center, where he lost to Ryan Moreau. So Dan's looking for that first Beat the Champ win. Big, tall, strong throwing righty, and he gets the strike on his first frame. Had to wait a little bit for that one for the slow tumble of the 10-pin.
Well, I think Dan got bit by the Beat the Champ bug.
Yeah, well, it's 2 months in a row qualifying. That doesn't happen an awful lot.
That TV
so,
stuff.
Yes, it did. Meanwhile, Jason Ciliberto now riding 2 wins in a row, trying to get another streak going. Remember, we told you he won 7 in a row here last year at Allie Brandt Lanes. That one started to weave off a little bit to the right, missed the pocket, and leaves him with a picket fence of pins on the left-hand side. A picket fence of pins, said
Is
Paul.
that on your little
said
sheet?
Paul Peck.
Is that your little sheet?
No, don't look
you're
at my
hiding
sheet.
From me?
Don't look at my sheet. No. No.
Well, it seems that even though the scores now have started to go up a little bit on both sides, we're still lefty dominant. I mean, it still seems like maybe it's I didn't want to ask Brian because sometimes proprietors are a little sensitive about the whole lefty-righty thing. Sometimes houses just carry better on one side. It's not that you oil them differently or try to favor one side, but topography, the kickboards on the side, these things will contribute to carry, and sometimes, that's just what makes a house a little bit.
And it's
more
not even that like
favorable.
Allie Brandt was a lefty, because he wasn't.
I know.
That might explain it, or at least give us a reason to explain it.
Would have been the spirit of Allie Brandt.
That's right. So an open off the missed 3-pin spare for Silaberto in the first frame, and a little bit of slogging through frame number 2
Well,
here.
those were two bad shots done the opposite way. This one, he got in, and it went high. And this one, he kept to the left too much. It's almost like he overcompensated on the error on the right, and not a much better result. Just kind of lost his niche a little bit.
There's the early look at the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard with Janelle Sabin. So after open in the first, Jason needs to get these 2 to grab himself a spare in the second. A little double hop there, double dribble on the approach, but it didn't prevent the spare from coming through. And now Dan Streer. He's from East Aurora, New York. He is 22 years old, been bowling. I love this. He's been bowling since he was 3. And I completely buy that there was a little 3-year-old Dan Streer hanging out at the lanes, getting that bowling ball down the way.
Wow.
225 average for Dan, who bowls regularly in a Friday night league at Abbott Lanes and on Wednesdays at Spare Time Bowling Center, and an outstanding former junior college All-American bowler.
Well, I think that as we've finally gotten a little bit of play on the right-hand side, it's going to open them up a little bit, make them a little bit more playable. The people who are on there on that lane condition early really had to move the oil around a little bit and break down that heavy concentration. And so Dan might be the benefactor of the whole 3 right-handers that came before him that actually kind of worked out the lanes a little bit.
Yeah, every month when we come to a different bowling center, we talk a lot about, if it's very heavy on the righties and there's a miss on the spare, so an open in the 3rd for Dan Streer. If it's heavy on the righties and you get a random lefty and he's got a wide open path. And it's been the opposite here. It's been very heavy lefty. Only, as you mentioned, he's just the 3rd righty I believe we've had this month. So it's a little bit open for Dan. And again, that's all part of this.
Well, he finally ran out of left-handers.
Yeah, that's all part of the mental game of bowling that, Jason Ciliberto in most occasions has that left side all to himself. Well, not necessarily today, and he turns into with a nice 3rd frame strike.
Well, as good as Dan's ball reaction is, I don't think you want to give an opening to Jason because he can come right through it. And another double here, and this match is even right up.
38 years old from Gasport is Jason Ciliberto, and as we mentioned, now up to 12 Beat the Champ wins, which is inching him ever closer to our top 5 in victories here on the show, led by Mike Zarcone's 36, Chuck Jagosinski's 34, and then it drops down to Jeremy Zimmerman at 16, Dana Vojtovic at 15, and Tyler Molina and Pat Brick each with 14 victories.
Wow, that's a big drop from 2nd to 3rd.
Yeah, well, it's also a big drop in the number of appearances on the show. Remember, Mike Zarcone's been on 37 shows. Chuck's been on 30. No one else has been on 20.
Wow.
The next highest number of show appearances is Jeremy Zimmerman's 14. So, and that's why Mike and Chuck have become sort of the headliners of this show, because they're so consistently good to make the show.
It's amazing. Only 9 people make the show for a month. Only 9. And they'll get close to 100 qualifiers. I mean, it's an amazing feat that they've made the show that many times, because I think, there's other people that come to every qualifier or almost every qualifier.
Nice strike by Dan. That's 2 in a row for him, 4 and 5 after the opening 3. I think we lose sight of that sometimes, how hard it is to make this show, where I would say you're probably averaging almost 100 qualifiers per bowling center per month, and we're only taking 9 of them to the television side.
Right. It's pretty amazing. Big shot. Ooh.
Lots of crazy pins flying, but not enough to grab that 3-pin, or the 6-pin rather.
Well, even though Dan missed that pin, he looks like he has some really good ball reaction here. And it's a 1-pin match right now. Maybe 11 because Dan's got a double up, but Jason's keeping it close. But Dan looks like he's the first
got a groove going,
right-handed challenger that's really can take it to him. I think this might be turning the tides.
Yep, maybe.
This looks like a good time to take a break. We'll be back with more Beat the Champ right after this. Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
5 strikes and 2 opens. All or nothing. That's the ultimate all or nothing.
And the opens were good shots. They were both.
They were corner
pins.
Yep. Rocket Rob Piccoli will face the winner of this match to wrap up week 3 here at Allie Brandt Lanes. Next week, it's a junior bowling championship from here at Allie Brandt. And again, those corner pins have been pesky. This is the 141st week of competition here since the return of Beat the Champ back in 2016. We're inching close to that 150th battle match, and you know, probably before the year's out, we'll start sneaking close to that 200. It's been a lot of fun to have brought this show back to Western New York and made stars out of guys like Brick, Zarcone, Jagosinski, Silaberto. Those guys are all known within the bowling community. Maybe once in a while they get a little bit of noticed in the non-bowling community.
I think they've gotten a lot more respect amongst their fellow bowlers as well. You know, this is, you can't not appreciate what they've accomplished coming out here and on television and representing. And even though everybody knew of them, I think that it's no easy feat to be that dominant.
Nice strike for Silaberto in the 8th. And I think the other offshoot of that is, because I hear this all the time from people that are not necessarily bowlers, nor are they people that would normally pay attention or watch bowling, but just Western New York fans of the show and sports fans, and appreciate what maybe the show means to them back when they were growing up.
Absolutely.
So I think these guys are being exposed to a group of sports fans in Western New York that would never know who a Jason Ciliberto or a Mike Zarcone is.
How many people truly in Buffalo have no ties to bowling? I mean,
well, very few.
Even
yes.
the younger people who, you know, maybe didn't grow up being put in junior leagues like their parents were. Their parents bowled, their grandparents bowled. I mean, I have people that have come up to me and said that their father was on the show, or their grandfather had been on the original show. And it just seems like whether you do it at any kind of higher level or not, somewhere in your lifetime bowling has played a part in your family.
Yeah, I think there's no question about that. I think, you know, anybody that is of age to have grown up in the 60s or 70s at least, and maybe even the 80s in this town when everybody bowled, and it was more of a blue-collar city where bowling was the entertainment and the after you got off of work at 5 o'clock kind of a thing. Even if you never picked it up as a kid, your parents did it, your grandparents did it, you knew about it, or you just maybe watched the show back in the day with Chuck Healy and Van Miller and the gang.
I think the tough competition for bowling now is video games. And Brian telling us about them coming up with a way to sort of transform bowling into more of a video game is really interesting.
It is. It is. At some point when that starts to make its way here to town, I want to get you out there to demonstrate it to her, because I know it'll take you a little while to get adjusted to a completely different way to approach the sport.
And I wonder if that is more like a golf thing. Like, to me, like hitting a moving target, not that the ball is a moving target, but I find golf to be much more difficult than bowling. And you probably don't, because you golf.
Yeah, although golf is still a difficult challenge for me, even though I do it.
You know what's crazy about this match is nobody will double and put it away.
Yeah, well, Jason had double in 3 and 4. Dan had doubles 1 and 2 and 4 and 5, but nothing since then.
But I mean, since it's become a 4-pin match,
right,
they just keep going back and forth. Nobody can put it away, and they're both hitting the pocket well. They're just not catching breaks to get the double. And this is going to go down to the 10th frame now. Well,
it's 10th frame now for Jason Ciliberto, who looks like he's making a ball change. Sure is. What do you think he's thinking here?
I don't know if he just picked up the wrong ball, and just because I've done that before too. If they look alike, you just grab the wrong one. I don't know quite what he's done here. This would be a very strange spot to make a ball change.
Well, whatever it is, it worked. It's a 10th frame strike for Silaberto. And let's see how he can finish here. Still a tight match as the Castellone Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram scoreboard and Janelle Sabin show us all. Second roll of the 10th frame. Jason Ciliberto looking for his 3rd win in a row.
Big ball here.
Oh!
Oh my gosh.
How did that everything explode except for the 6-pin?
That's a bad break, let me tell you why, because that strike there would force Dan to have to double. Now that's not so. You're looking at Jason with a 198. So Dan needs the first one.
So Jason will in fact finish at 198. And now Dan Streer gets the hand cooled off and gets ready to approach 10th frame.
So he just needs this strike right here. That's a decent count.
Is 7 decent enough count?
No, he needed the first strike no matter what.
Oh, he needed the first strike. All right, so Jason Ciliberto will slip through his way to a victory. That's kind of what the great ones do, isn't it? Not their best effort,
The lefties
but
live on.
sometimes you let the other guy mess up a little bit and you reap the benefits, and Silaberto does for a 3rd win in a row. We'll check in with Dan, and we'll get you ready for our final match of the day when Sue and I return to Lockport. We're at Allie Brandt Lanes.
It's a score of 198 to 193. Jason's our winner. Keep on watching. Beat the Champ.
But for the 2nd straight month in his 2nd match, Dan Streer continues to have really good moments, but you just can't figure out. We got to figure out a way to get you to win, right?
Yeah, I mean the spare shooting's been pretty poor on my 2 showings so far, but you know sometimes you don't get there.
What have you learned now 2 times in about what it takes to win on this show? Also keeping in mind you bowled against some pretty good competitors.
Yeah,
too.
like you just can't give guys opportunities to just to beat you. And I opened twice and caught a bad break there, but what are you going to do?
Right. Pretty good bowling analysis, right, Brian?
Exactly. Hey, congratulations. Thanks for coming out, supporting Beat the Champ.
Thank you.
All right. A good performance from Dan Streer, a slightly better one from Jason Ciliberto. We'll put him into our final match of the day against Rocket Rob Piccoli. That is next. Silaberto will go for his 4th win in a row against Rocket Rob Piccoli to wrap up this week's competition here at Allie Brandt Lanes and wrap up this month's worth of competition here in Lockport. Of course, we've got our special exhibition show next week, which will be the Junior Bowling Championship here at Allie Brandt Lanes. But let's see what Rocket Rob has in store for Jason Ciliberto. And as you pointed out to me, Sue, when you watched Rob in warm-ups, if he's less rocket, he may be better off.
You're right. These lanes are a little too tight for what he can actually manufacture as far as ball speed. So his challenge will be to stay slow.
And I think we've seen Rob over the course of the last year or so on our show go from being a guy that had just blowing it down the lanes to a guy who's become much more of a bowler who understands the finesse of the way to roll the ball properly. So I'd expect that he'll understand that.
Yeah, he knew he needed to add that dimension to his game, and he worked at it, and it's obviously paid off. We've seen him on the TV show quite often.
Just kills his nickname, that's all.
Well, he's the last right-hander standing to redeem the righties, because there's not been one victory by a right-hander today.
You are right about that.
This
That's
month.
a very good observation. It has been all lefties up here in Lockport. Lockport is for lefties. And the lefty Silaberto is off to a good start with a double to open things up. So, you know, it hasn't necessarily been, we've talked so much more about the challenge of the rather heavily oiled lanes as much as we've talked about anything else through the course of this show, that even though we have the mile per hour available to us on the scoreboard, we haven't really talked about that at all. I guess maybe this is a match to look at it a little bit more and see if Rob is a little lower than what we are used to seeing him.
Well, we like to talk about the ball speed, but that ball speed, where it picks up the actual speed is a little deceptive, because your ball is decelerating actually at the point where that camera picks up. The camera picks up down the lane.
Right. That one came in at about 18.25 miles per hour from Rob.
But what I guess what it will tell us is what ball speed he needs to be at in order to be successful. Like that ball worked pretty well. That ball rolled up, read the lane pretty good, and that's allegedly the tighter lane. So maybe the ball speed will be a little higher on 33, which is we'll wait and see.
34 years old from Kenmore is Rob Piccoli, employed as produce manager at Tops. 227 average for Rob, and he's really one of these guys who bowls in a lot of leagues, but has also started to make that next step into beyond being a good league bowler to being a good Western New York competition level bowler. Second place finish in the Buffalo Bowlers Association tournament in 2016-17.
Well, I don't know if he tried out for the Masters. I didn't remember seeing his name on the ballot. That's always the place where you want to be noticed. That's where you're going to go to be noticed.
Jason Ciliberto has finished twice, second in the Open Masters, which is a heck of an accomplishment in itself, and it's a triple to open things up for Jason Ciliberto. Now up to 13 beat the champ victories against only 5 losses, looking for a 4th win in a row and looking for a 2nd consecutive year here at Allie Brandt Lanes with a winning streak of at least 4. Last year it was 7. He's got a chance to be 4 if Jason wins this match. 38 years old from Gasport. Nice strike, 4 in a row to get things started for Jason Ciliberto.
Maybe he doesn't want to leave here without a 300. I mean,
Well,
he's kind of used to.
He didn't have to leave here without one last year.
It's his last chance.
Right? I said 2 years in a row he wants a winning streak and a 300. He may be. All right, so now Rob, if he didn't already know, and I'm sure he did, knew he was going to be in a battle against a great bowler in Jason. Strike, spare to start things off for Rob. And boy, talk about some exploding pins.
Wow, good shot.
Again, a little under 19 miles per hour down the lanes.
Well, here's another, well, I think both these guys would be okay. We go to Manor 2 after this, which is an older wood surface. So very different from what we're bowling on here. And that's where the challenge will be for someone who's been successful here to go over and then take on people who have, who really match up well to the wood surface. But both these guys with their ball speed, they both have pretty good ball speed. I think they'll both be okay over there.
That's another strike. So first 5 frames feature 4 strikes and a spare for Rob Piccoli. And here comes Silaberto looking to be perfect through the first 5. Yeah, that's, again, the winner of this match will head in 2 weeks to be our #1 challenger, the champion. Everyone's going to try to beat at Manor 2, right? Manor 2,
Manor
correct.
2.
Manor 2 are headed. Classic Lanes is coming up after that, and I know some of the qualifying dates I think are still available.
Well, actually,
Those passed already?
No. They won't kick in until August 15th. So you want to go to the Facebook page and check that out. There's weekday dates and weekend dates, and the taping is going to be August 24th, but the qualifying begins August 15th. So it's August 3rd today. So you got some time, but get your dates in order.
Gotcha. Well, no 300 game for Jason, not this time around. He'll get a spare in the 5th frame. Of course, last year here at Allie Brandt Lanes, it was a perfect game, 1 of 5 we have had thrown here on Beat the Champ as Jason Ciliberto defeated Pat Brick. And guess what? Jason has already done that.
Everything's on the checklist but the 300.
Last week as he defeated Pat Brick 223 to 220 in last week's show, ending Brick's winning streak. Now the pesky 7-pin won't go down, so it'll be another spare opportunity for Jason.
So leaving the door open for Rob, because he has to come up and he can come up and double and take the lead in this match.
Jason bowls here in the regular leagues, U.S. Postal Service League here at Allie Brandt Lanes. Also bowls in the the Bowling Proprietor Association of Western New York Travel League. We talked a little earlier in the show about his partner here at the league at Allie Brandt is Gary Kinyon, who he's already defeated. Spare for Jason in the 6th frame.
The action will continue on Beat the Champ in just a minute.
Instant replay on Beat the Champ is brought to you by Transit Lanes and Keglers. Join us for bowling, food, and drinks.
Welcome back to Beat the Champ.
Meanwhile, Rob, I think, is bowling every night of the week. Tuesday nights, Wednesdays at Transit, Thursdays at Transit, Fridays at Broadway, Saturdays in the Travel League, and Mondays as well at Airport Lanes. So, yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh.
That's a lot of bowling.
Well, in tournaments on Sunday.
He's a sub in one of them. He's a sub in one of the leagues on Monday. He gives himself a break a little bit.
Oh, that was a big shot right there.
So the lanes seem to be biting back a little bit here.
No, they're still hitting the pocket, though. I mean, we saw a lot of weird stuff going on as far as leaving 2-pin, multiple pin conversions, and these guys are hitting the pocket up every shot. 10 pins separating the 2 of them. That's why that would have been a big strike for Rob, because that would have tied the match up. Can't count on Jason giving you too many holes.
No, I think we've seen that from Jason. We've seen that just through the course of this winning streak of his here, that he's had a couple of chances where he almost lost, and the opponent just seemed to not make that shot he needed to make.
Wow.
One went flying up and over the 10-pin.
That has been consistent on both sides, though. I mean, they both are getting wrapped a little bit, where they're hitting the pocket and leaving corner pins and stuff like that. Nobody really has been able to get a big, long streak going. That 240 might end up being hard to beat.
Spare in the 7th for Rob Piccoli. So it remains a tight match here.
10 pins.
And it's 7th frame now for Silaberto on lane 34. And Gasport lefty rolls it down the lanes and gets himself a strike.
All right, that's a big shot for him. That's plus, he's already got the lead by 11, and he can extend that to 21 with a strike here, since Rob couldn't get a strike posted up.
Let's see if Jason can do that here in the 8th frame. Have you seen anything change from Jason as we've gone through? This is his 4th match now. Still, is he staying pretty consistent?
Well, he's definitely using the same ball in both lanes, and I think he's been unbelievably consistent.
Well, the results are showing that as well too.
Yeah.
It's a double for Jason Ciliberto.
Repeating is the big thing, and they're not that wide open where you can make a big mistake and not pay for it. So I think he's been pretty accurate with his ball speed, with it hitting his target. He's had 2 really good games. 3, actually. It's been very good today.
8th frame for Rob Piccoli. He's going to need some strikes. There's one of them. This is the 11th appearance on the show for Rob Piccoli. 10 wins and 9 losses is his overall record. Last time we saw him was in May at Transit Lanes when he rattled off a streak of 5 wins in a row. Matter of fact, his 8 wins in 2019 are second only to Chuck Jagodzinski's 13 in the calendar year. He is tied with Mike Zarcone for those 8 wins this year.
This is a must-strike situation right here. Okay.
Ooh, it didn't look like it hit where it was supposed to.
Actually, you know, the high flush has been ringing the 10s, so the later hit has a better percentage of carrying.
Yeah, it didn't hit where I thought it was supposed to, but because it had so much strength and power behind it, it kind of blew everything up in there.
Yeah, the swisher is definitely, and it's something you got to think about when you're bowling, because there's times when that high flush hit just doesn't carry. So the swisher is definitely better here.
9th frame now for Silaberto, who finds himself in a battle, and he keeps answering. That's a triple for Jason. Boy, how many of these matches have come right down to the 10th frame? I assume this one will as well.
Okay, so what we've got here is a strike here will cement the match, even though Rob can still strike out for 247. If Jason can strike here, he's going to be 250.
Boy, the scores have certainly started to shoot up a little bit here, haven't they?
Yep.
So a strike here will clinch it for Jason.
Strike here and a little bit of count that I think he'll be far able to get. Okay.
There's the strike. Assume that the count will come as well too. And I think we're on our way to assuming a 4th win in a row for Jason Ciliberto, a 4-game winning streak that will wrap it up for this month and advance Jason off to Manor 2.
That's right, it's been an all lefty month here.
Every one of our winners has been a left-handed bowler. He needs a little count. He's got 10, and that's a win for Jason Ciliberto. What a show. Every time we come to Allie Brandt Lanes, we know we're going to get quite a show from Jason Ciliberto, and he does it again. We're going to talk to both guys about another terrific match, start to think ahead for a couple of weeks. When Sue and I return, it's Allie Brandt Lanes for Beat the Champ, and we're back right after this. On a day when high scores have been hard to come by, it's a 268 to 223 win for Jason Ciliberto. 223 would have won you almost every other match here at Allie Brandt Lanes. Other than that guy throwing it big, that's a little tough to deal with sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, we both had good looks on the lane, and no one really missed the pocket, so just made a carry-in.
Did you guys start to figure these lanes out a little bit, you think?
Yeah, I pretty had a good idea where to go.
Right. All right, Brian, see, they've started to figure it out now.
They did. Now it's over. Now we'll see a classic in a couple months. So congratulations and great bowling. Thanks for supporting Beat the Champ.
Appreciate it. Anytime.
Sue, that 268 was by far our highest score of the day.
Well, actually, we averaged 236, and on a scoring condition that was actually kind of low. Does that come with knowing this lane condition or being familiar with this bowling center?
I think it does a little with where I was playing, and the gutter seems to play really well here, so I think that helped.
So now you have to go to another bowling center, a wood surface. How do you change your mindset to go do that?
I'm just going to bowl. I'm not going to change anything, really.
Perfect. There we have it.
I'm just going to bowl, right? Words to live by from Jason Ciliberto.
Yep,
so,
now we know the secret to Manor 2 in 2 weeks.
There you go.
We'll see you there.
We're going to write that down, and we're going to come back and ask you about that in a couple of weeks. I'm just going to bowl. So a good run here, a 4 in a row for Jason Ciliberto. Sue and I will come back and wrap up this week here in Lockport when we return right after this. Well, as much as we talked about the challenges here this month of Allie Brandt Lanes, you had Pat Brick who won 4 in a row, and then he loses to Jason Ciliberto, the first of his 4 in a row.
Right, so ask me that question again, what I learned from this month at Allie Brandt Lanes.
Yeah, all right, well, what did you learn?
You need to be a left-hander.
Okay.
No matter how good the right-handers gave it to them, it was still a little bit of a carry advantage to left-handers this month.
Yeah, as Sue pointed out, no righties won this month here at Allie Brandt Lanes. It was all the lefties, Brick and Silaberto primarily. They were the ones that could figure this thing out.
Right, and even though they seem to have broken down and, you know, they did, the right-handers actually eased their way into having a little better condition, they still can keep up the scoring pace.
All right, so 2 weeks from now, we will see Jason Ciliberto try to keep that winning streak alive when we head to Manor 2, where he just says, I'm just going to go bowl, right?
Yeah, and as Jim Russo says, good luck and good bowling.
All right, well, on that note, we will see you from here next week for our Junior Bowling Challenge, and then in 2 weeks at Manor 2, where we're going to have some more fun just like that. We thank you for watching. We'll see you next week on Beat the Champ.